Have you ever wondered what's the best teaching method for students these days? Students who can't leave the smartphone for 5 seconds, students who can research anything they want from the smartphones, or students who become active learners instead of passive. I was once a product of traditional teaching styles in my generation. Now, I become an English teacher in the 21st century, and I want to answer that question too. There are so many teaching methods nowadays, but let me categorize it into two big methods. First, traditional teaching method and innovative teaching method. I'm sure many of you knows what those methods are like, but it's not just what materials they use in the classroom like chalk and talk, but it's about the teaching methodology in the classroom. Let me put this straight. It was described as a teacher-oriented in a lecture and note-taking. Lessons are usually taught by a teacher introducing skills using a board accompanied by a verbal explanation. Practical work is assigned to students and followed by feedback from the teacher, the regular exam, and report cards with letter grades. Good things are, students receive formal education and learn to focus on the subject at hand. Uniform and consistent board support services in many schools. But long lectures, rote memorization, and little interaction in the classroom often leave students less attentive and less engaged. It's a teacher-centered, where the teacher often talks at the student instead of encouraging them to interact. Students with diverse backgrounds and disabilities often did not respond well to this delivery. Let's take a look at another teaching method, innovative teaching method, a proactive approach to integrate new teaching strategies and methods into a classroom. Technology plays a big role to enhance or expand upon the student experience. For example, flipped classroom, blended learning, game-based learning, problem-based learning, and mobile learning. Good things are, it stimulates creativity and helps students understand ideas at higher levels of thinking than teaching through rote memorization alone. It's a student-centered. Its settings include multiple cultures and expose all students to diversity, attention to social development, including teamwork, interpersonal relationship, and self-awareness. Technology has made learning better, more fun, and interactive. But the disadvantages of this are the use of technology may get distracted with browsing other sites instead of the subject. This method is way more expensive than another, which make it more suitable in the schools of rural areas. Teacher requires special technical knowledge that can lead to less focus on the subject. So, you guys have seen pros and cons of using these methods. Can you decide which one is better? Well, let me get specific to my teaching subject, English. As an English teacher and learner, learning English is very important to know how to use it, not only for speaking, but writing, listening, and all those skills. English have been taught since back in old days. It summarized main differences in two categories. First, traditional grammar translation method and the modern communicative English teaching method. Grammar translation method is classical traditional teaching technique that was used to teach Latin and Greek back in the 16th century. There was no emphasis on speaking and listening comprehension. It's focused on teaching rules, translation of text, grammar, and rote learning of vocabulary. There has limited number of methods such as lectures, translation, activities, and drills. Let me show you the timeline of this method. As you can see in the orange highlight, this teaching method was widely used before 1990s and until it was decreasing to 1970s. Then, the modern communicative language teaching method. According to TJ Language Corporate Training, the communicative language teaching method has various characteristics that distinguish it from previous methods. The aim of this method is to teach the learner to communicate to get the meaning of the content. It employs more contextualized information and practice similar to real-life situations. One has to experiment with the language to learn using it, not just listening, but understanding occurs through active student interaction. This is the timeline of this method. As you can see, the green highlight shows that it begins using since 1980s and continuing widely used until the present. However, today, the ways of teaching and learning have changed. Instead of chalk, teachers are carrying tablets, computers, and projectors. clickers, and audio assistants, which play a great role in recent teaching and learning practices. These assistants are computers, projectors, speakers, and especially smartboards. I think that we can describe smartboards as a threshold of technology in education and training, which is getting more usual in classroom, like now in this classroom. From this picture, the study have shown that technology is becoming a part of everyday life. For example, 28% of middle school students take mobile phone to school, or 87% of college students never leave without their cell phone. But it also stimulates learners' interest and engagement through their classes. As this picture below, from this chart, they believe that electronic textbooks, online learning portals will have a great impact on engagement. And 70% of campus students prefer taking courses utilizing technology. For me, as an English language learner and instructor, I will go with both traditional and modern teaching methods because both methods are equally good and need to be imparted to the students and ensure that every student have equal opportunities in learning. For example, 100% accurate English grammar structures may not be used in all conversation in everyday routine, especially in informal conversation, but it's good to remember how to use and understand the structures with the practice like reading or writing. Some would say that any innovations in traditional teaching system are unnecessary as they may distract students from what they really should do during their studies. Still, we all live in a world of rapidly growing technology and constant changes, and we have seen that both modern and traditional teaching methods have their both own pros and cons. To answer the research question, I think students and teachers will benefit more if both traditional and innovative methods are fused together with the implementation of technology in order to create a more effective, fun, and interactive learning experience. What about you? Please submit your answers to this number below. I typed 800 luck on here, 2016. We'll pick randomly lucky number and you can win a big prize.